All right, so we are going to get started on looking at, if I can see my screen. And let's go over here, share screen. All right, hopefully we can see this. I want to start today with our transit chart. All right, here it is. So we're looking at December 21st, the winter solstice, the shortest day in the Northern Hemisphere. And of course, we are seeing the sun at 0 degrees right now. We're 13 minutes into Capricorn. And we see this nice little stellium over here in Capricorn, because we always look for this in the winter, the Capricorn units. And then you should know that Mercury follows the sun pretty close. So you should see Mercury either in the same sign, a sign before or the sign after. So here we see Mercury ahead of the sun. It's speeding up, and pretty soon it will be slowing down. Mercury is going to go retrograde on January 4th. So we're seeing that it's ahead of the sun right now, and then it will slow down. See, it's at 12 Capricorn, and it will, by the end of this month and beginning next, it will have sped up and gone all the way through to 10 degrees Uranus. Now I'm gonna explain this stuff a little bit more, but just want to double check. Yep, 10 degrees January. So on the 4th, let's see, when does Mercury go? Mercury goes retrograde on the 14th. Yeah, let me see. Yep, it goes retrograde on the 14th at 10 degrees in Uranus. Sorry, Aquarius, sorry. So look at this now. Mercury, I'm going to point out a few things here, then I'll go over it again. Mercury's speeding up ahead of the sun. It's going to go over Pluto, and it's going to then go over Venus. It'll go over here, and it will get to the same spot here where Saturn and Uranus are almost going to be at their exact square. So you see right here in like a couple days, Saturn, you see it's 10 degrees 51 minutes, and it is approaching 11 over here at Uranus, 11 degrees 9, not far away. So this square is getting pretty tight. I'm going to talk more about this, but I want to point out a few things first while we're looking at this chart. So this again is for today. Now, we're not only going to be dealing with this square, we've been dealing with this square all year. It started on January 6th. It was again in June. We having it exact in it's on the West Coast, it's late on the 23rd, and over here on the East Coast, it's like early in the morning on the 24th. So that's very significant. But what I want to draw your attention to is all of these planets now going over here in Capricorn, and they're going to be going, Mercury and Venus and soon Mars, that will catch up soon, will be going over Pluto. Just want to show it to you. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But see over here, Pluto at 25 degrees, and it's 37. So Pluto is going to be going, clicking into 26 degrees. Mercury's going to go over it. Venus just passed it, but then Venus just turned retrograde. You can see that. I think it was a couple days ago. So Venus will go over it again, and then again one more time. So we've got Venus's long stint here. I think we talked about this last time in Capricorn until May, but then it's going to go, it's retrograde now. So it's going to go over Pluto, and then Pluto will get further away, and then Venus will then go forward, and then it'll finally go over it. It will go over it one more time, but when it actually goes over it, goes over it, it'll conjunct it. Mars will be right with it. So Mars will then have moved over into Capricorn, and then it will usher Venus across one more time, that Plutonian darkness. So very, very interesting. All that's going to be raking back and forth over Pluto for a while. So let's think about what that is. What's that really going on? Pluto is the depths, the underworld. And we have, first of all, Venus just went over that. So that's affected people's values. Right now, I mean, there's a lot with that. There's a lot with love life and jealousy and those types of things, but it's also a lot of values that we have to reevaluate. Is it really that valuable to me? Is it worth what I have to go through? It'll be dredging things up on that level with Venus there. But then what's interesting now, we have Mercury going to be flying over that. So Mercury will just bring a lot more communications to the, you know, things coming up from the depths. And I'll hold on a second. I'll get my notes here. I got a lot of notes on this. Good stuff. So Mercury is going to be going over that and bringing things up from the depths. And then we'll have the sun going over there. So the sun will bring, you know, with that energy. And then Mars will go over that. So we got a lot of stuff stirring up Pluto right now. So we've had a lot of things with the other that more inner outer planets, but you know, Pluto is going to be reigning for a few months. So this is going to be kind of exciting, turbulent times, because you know, Pluto is the depths, it's the death rebirth, it's that stuff coming out from underneath, it's fraud and corruption, but it's also exposure to that. Mercury is going to be, you know, going to be bringing the communications about that. The sun is going to be shining light on it, and Venus's values are, you know, are going to be reconsidered. So all these values of people, of things are going to be bubbling up. That's just the shortness of it. So let's look at a couple of other things as we go into this year. Up here at the top of the chart is Jupiter. Jupiter's 28 degrees Aquarius, and it's going to be changing signs very soon, and it will then begin its trek through Pisces. Funny thing about Jupiter's orbit, it flies through the first part of the sign, then it goes retrograde for a while, then it'll finish up. So remember, Jupiter spends a year per sign, more or less. So it will speed through Pisces, and it will actually conjunct Neptune in the early spring. All right, so this is very interesting, because we got now the water element, and Jupiter is large and expansive, and if it's in a water sign conjuncting Neptune in its sign in another, I mean its ruling sign, and it's also a water sign. So big water, think big water. All right, a few things going on here I'm going to read to you. So with that in mind, just let your eyes look at some of that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. What else I want to point out to you? Just that, yeah, I said the square. Oh yeah, one more thing. The nodes, the moon nodes are going to be changing positions, and they're actually kind of there now. You have the mean node, you might see it, or the true node. And the difference really in the mean node and the true node is the mean node is the average. The mean lunar node, you might see, is the average speed of the nodes. The nodes move forward for a few days and backward for a few days, forward for a few days, backward for a few days. But then their mean motion is that averaged out amount. So the moon nodes, if you look in the ephemeris, you'll see again, they change direction every few days. But the nodes are moving now. They're at the end of the mutable signs. You can see they're at 0 degrees. They move retrograde. So they're at the end of this, or I should say the beginning, the beginning of these mutable signs, and they will be moving into the 29th degree then of Taurus. The north node will be moving into Taurus, and the south node will move into Scorpio. So they will be on a fixed axis for the next year or 2.5 years. The nodes are in, is that a year and a half? Year and a half, 2.5 years. The nodes, yeah, 2.5 years. The nodes are in, those will be in a sign for 2.5 years. So they will be in the fixed signs. And that will be interesting when they actually get to the degree of this last square of Uranus to Saturn. So we're not out of the woods on that yet, by no means, on a few levels. Well, first of all, this is the third of this square, but as it moves out of orb, it will come back into orb and be within a degree by next October. We've talked about that a few times. So this will keep coming up. But then in about a year and a half, what is it? Maybe in about a year, 10 months, I'll have to look. When the moon nodes, or maybe 2 years, I'll have to look. When they get to that 10 degree or 11 degree point, there, of where that square is now, that will bring back up some more stuff. It's like plucking that resonant note again. So every month when the moon hits that spot, it will kind of bring some of that up. The midpoint of those two spots right now. So we've got 10 degrees, again, the middle, if we had to take the middle of 10 degrees Aquarius and to the middle of 10 degrees, or say 11 degrees Taurus, that middle spot, it's either the very end of Pisces. Yeah, it's probably right near the end of Pisces. Right around in there would be a sensitive point as well. So when Jupiter hits that point, and when Neptune hits that point, near the end of Pisces, that will also resonate with this square. And then we have, as the planets come around, those inner planets, the Sun, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, when it comes around in the springtime toward that spot at the end of Pisces, it will also be resonating this again, this square that we're feeling now. So we can see that these ripples are going to be, things are going to be hitting on different parts of this square for quite a while, which is totally what is going on. So let me read a little bit about that. I got some notes on you. So for you about the square, and then the rest of the things coming up for the beginning of this year. I'll just recap what I mentioned in the very beginning. So December, we have this exact rigid Uranus Saturn square. And then while Pluto is still in tyrannical degrees, that's before Pluto gets to like 26 to 25 degrees is still kind of it. They call it tyrannical degree. All right. So and then I mentioned they're changing sign. The nodes are changing signs. Okay. So the energies are still unsettled, disrupting, and uncomfortable. The sun enters Capricorn today, resulting in a powerful stellium, which we're looking at up here of all this group in Capricorn, the stellium, because the sun, Mercury, Venus, and Pluto are all in these earthy Capricorn signs. So they're kind of getting along with, at the moment, with Uranus, because that's all in Earth sign. Okay, the stellium is tightening the belt. Chances are the festive period may not be as festive this time of year. And we're already seeing that. Big places in Europe were closed down. In Germany, Santa Claus was arrested. There's a lot of things like that happening. Around the 23rd, 24th, the lunar north node enters the Earth sign Taurus. And then the true node will actually go in January. So they're vacillating right now. We can almost think about them, those lunar nodes as switching signs, going into the fixed signs. So clearly December and January mark a shift in how the coming months will go, because the lunar node's changing signs, going from mutable Gemini, Sagittarius, the axis of travel and movement, to the fixed signs of Scorpio and Taurus, finances, money, possessions, and resources. So when Gemini is at the north node, that is like restricted travel, or I should say Sagittarius at the south node is more restricted travel. And we've seen that the last 2 years, 2.5 years, totally. So now we're starting to come to the end of that, but they're going into fixed signs. So we'll see how that will play out. Maybe only certain people can travel fixed. Okay. The transiting nodes in Taurus Scorpio will raise existential questions and bring collective focus on possessions, material goods, finances, money, income, debt, and loans. Additionally, with the lunar south node in Scorpio, all of the underworld, abuse, fertility, among others, we expect some issues connected with these scorpionic topics to be coming up. And that, again, is going to play right into all this stuff going over Scorpio. Okay, we talked about that square. Okay, any Saturn Uranus aspect tends to indicate falls from heights, literally and figuratively, structures, objects, or people. So we can see some big people, big corporations, big things starting to come down. And hence some air crashes and collapsing buildings or systems are likely to occur during this aspect. I think I just saw yesterday, actually in Tampa, there was some parking structure. I just caught the part of it had collapsed. I just thought that was interesting. All Saturn Uranus aspects are tense and stressful, as they are both represent very differing and even incompatible energies. Imposing restrictions will be met with huge resistance, as in the current phase. Saturn will be obliged to submit to the desires of Uranus. See, now we have all of this earth energy, all this stuff in the Capricorn, and with Uranus in Taurus, that's all earth. So I'm thinking, and I think this is indicating it also, that that earth energy is going to kind of win out right now. But hence there's still going to be a clash going on between being strict and being free. Following astrometeorology, the Saturn Uranus square in fixed signs in winter coincides with really ice cold winter here and there. All right. What else I want to say? Venus and Pluto conjoin at the 25 degrees Capricorn in Capricorn. I'm talking Irish. They are conjoining in Capricorn around December 25th. But this time Venus is retrograde. So Venus will be backing up now. It just went over it about a week ago. When was it? Yeah, but now it's going to be backing up into it. So that will kind of be a little bit of difference. So Venus, you know, now this is where jealousy and re-examining values, maybe from the depths, maybe old values, maybe things you were conditioned to believe, maybe you'll question that. Also following astrometeorology, this aspect coincides with heavy precipitation. Jupiter, let's see, is going to be at 29 degrees Aquarius. It's at that critical degree. You should remember 29 degrees. You can see it's like right there. Jupiter's at 28 today. So in another few days, it's going to be right around, yeah, the 27th, reflecting some legal entanglements and or travel plans and journeys not going as wished for. Well, there you go, right around December 27th. And we've got bad weather, of course, journeys, you know, not going well, legal entanglements. Maybe there'll be, you know, I said things falling from the sky. There could be some a few messes. It'd be interesting to watch this year and try to stay put. Still the best time for traveling. All right, around December 29th, Jupiter enters Pisces, the sign it co-rules with Mercury, and Venus meet at 24 Capricorn. The last week of December and early January, Jupiter's at 29 Aquarius. It's so-called the critical degree, adding to the likelihood of numerous divorces and relationship breakups. Interesting to think about, you know, not only personal, but what other relationships, you know, things maybe at large, you know, what companies, big tech, alliances are broken. I just heard who was it, an archbishop, starts with a V, can't remember his last name, had something to say that what did he call it, the deep religion, the deep church, what do you call it? And anyway, he's thinking that he said something like there are good forces against the deep church, I think he called it, was to be like the bad church, and the deep state. You know, he said there's a lot of people starting to wake up, and he's in hiding. He was renouncing a lot of stuff, and he's in hiding. But people like that are starting to come out with things. What else? Also, there's a huge uncertainty about how the future will unfold, of course, as it looks like some people exaggerate in finding an outlet so to cope with some of the lost feelings. So that's with with Jupiter at that very last bit of Aquarius, you know, dealing with that modeling stuff. All right, so that week could become noisy. Following astrometeorology, again, Jupiter between 29 Aquarius and 1 Pisces is likely to bring tons of precipitation, you know, because it's starting to go into that wet sign now, often resulting in severe snow or water-related issues. The end of this year may be quite chaotic. All right, then Mercury and Pluto co-join at 25 Capricorn around December 30th, suggesting some documents are under investigations. That's big. See, Mercury's flying, so it's going to go over there. It's going to be flying right over that. And then it's going to go over, it's going to conjoin Venus as well. Something is disclosed that was kept hidden, you know, because we got hidden, you know, the Pluto in Mercury's going over it. So Mercury's be like, blah, 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 blah. Something's going to be coming out. Okay, it also may indicate the news of someone's death, maybe something like on a large level. Also, at the end of the month, let's see what else we got. I already told you that. Okay, so yeah, the end of the year could be quite hectic. Now in 2022, Saturn Uranus will still be building a wider square, although they will build the waning applying square at the same numerical degree in a sign in the second half of 2022. So again, it's going to be going away. It's going to make the square, and then it's going to lessen, and then it will get closer and closer, but it won't be to the exact minute anymore. But it's going to get enough and build to where it's still irritating. So they'll still pose a threat throughout the whole year of 2022 that will likely manifest powerfully and cause a lot of stress in some other cases. Overall, the square is highly uncomfortable and a tense one, and more so because it happens in fixed signs, and Uranus is the dispositor of Saturn, storing up our fixed material and physical world and way of living. It may disrupt the internet, bring power outages, and challenge the monetary and financial systems. Great, right? The waning square points to the old strict ways, Saturn reluctantly being forced to submit to the new freedom-loving, liberating ways of Uranus. You know, this old way, they're not going to go without a fight, and they're going to throw all out. All stops are out. You know, before we even get to midterms, that stuff, there's going to be a lot of stuff said. It's about breaking down and breaking up the rules, past ways of behaving, systems and procedures, and it will ultimately also break us from material dependence, which can be a highly uncomfortable situation at first. So tyranny will slowly fade out because Pluto will also leave the tyrannical degrees as soon as it hits the last 3 degrees of Capricorn. So we got it right now. A lot of this is going to be stirred up, and then hopefully we'll have some resolution. This aspect will likely start to break up and bring down the governments in 2022, stir up the large corporations in the banking world, but also result in unsettling and harsh moments for people. Systems are really crumbling and falling down. That Saturn Uranus. The aspects represent falls from height, remember, literally or figuratively. And in 2022, most of the year, Jupiter will reside in Pisces, where Neptune is also. This year, there's a profound focus on severe water-related issues, floods, financial loss, public scandals, fraud, and corruption being revealed, and also events that are related to the Vatican or other religions. Oh boy, what else? And this is just part of it. This is just the first part. Let's see, I had a couple other notes here for you. Yeah, I said that. Okay, January, like worldwide agony, cognitive dissonance, something weird going on that can't be fully explained. Torrential rain, snow, floods, inundations, profound amount of precipitation. Now, this is very interesting because all of this weather and all this more rain and more snow, by the time Jupiter conjuncts Pisces in the spring, you know, when we're going to be getting, you know, when you expect wet weather and floods and stuff, that will be there. So that's where we really got to look for the huge water problems and flooding in the spring. I think it hits like right at the very end of March, beginning of April, when it's exact, when Jupiter's exact on Neptune. All right, things are brought to a head and transform our experiences, a kind of cleansing, transforming purge. It's kind of like catharsis. Could be people resigning or getting fired, political changes. Again, people resigning or stepping down, getting fired or ousted. We're already starting to see that. Upheaval, tension, stress from pent-up aggression, connecting the masses and breaking the rules. So people are gonna, we're gonna start seeing people getting more and more upset and taken to the street. We're already seeing it. Now this one is interesting. The new moon on January 2nd. Mercury will be moved right on then. It will move into Aquarius. See, right now it's you know, we're on the 21st, so 2 weeks. You can see it's going to be flying through. It'll go over all of this stuff, and then it will go right into Aquarius. So there'll be breaking news, emergencies, some crisis will be going on. This also, when the moon is when the new moon is perigee, which is close to the Earth, it will coincide with colder winters. Another aspect of another cold winter. So interesting here. Mercury going to be messing with all this stuff, Pluto and Venus. So it's going to be communicating values, bringing things up, dredging stuff up from the depths. Things coming out, and then when it gets to that degree, there'll be some kind of crisis. So expect something on this new moon, like on January 1st or 2nd. Then, I mentioned that. Okay, so when what here? Oops, Pluto. So Pluto over here, leaving the tyrannical degrees. When it gets to the last bit of Capricorn. There could be, so it gets more liberated. So liberating energies start to enter the picture. Right now, it's all stirred up. Let's see. Oh yeah, one more thing about the Pisces, the conjunction here with Jupiter and Neptune. We got Jupiter big, and then Pisces, the underworld, the things hidden. So we've got revealing things, full of scandals. We got big scandals, big fraud, big revelations, tons of water related issues, again, peaking around the beginning of April, and further breaking down of the system, often involving large demonstrations and protests. Oh, and then one other thing, the North Node going into Taurus, and it will also aspect this little conjunction over here with the wet stuff, the Pisces stuff. It'll aspect it by sextile. So that Taurus is a fertile sign, and it's 2 signs away from Pisces. So when we have Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, that'll be 2 signs or sextile away. So that will kind of reinforce uncovering large-scale fraud, large-scale criminal activities, scandals, also material losses, crashes, things as well, because we got Earth and the moon nodes moving into the Earth signs, and we got all this water. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to tell you about? I think I got all those there. So that's just kind of this energy we're moving into. This is pretty intense from now till the spring, and we'll go over more of these, as we go more specifics. But this is just a big overview of things that are happening now. All right, I'm going to stop share that. And I'm going to